Coming up on News 2, what are some of the challenges faced by the Department of Human Services for a number of their programs? Discussions at the Senate, plus the latest Crimestoppers report, how you can help with ongoing investigations and earn a reward in the process. Meanwhile, the VIPD says they will be lenient with the parking of vehicles in the downtown and surrounding areas of St. Thomas now that the parking lot is closed. However, all parking restrictions will be enforced. Welcome and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. The Department of Human Services testified before Senators Wednesday. DHS officials were invited to provide an update to the Health and Hospitals Committee on the status, upcoming plans, and existing challenges for all their programs. News 2's Erica Parsons has that story.
The Department of Human Services is one agency tasked with serving the needs of the community, and Wednesday senators acknowledged the tireless work the entire staff undertakes to deliver those services. But federal and local budget cuts have severely hurt the department, and Wednesday's testimony from DHS officials showed that they're the ones in need. Human Services officials said they're losing almost $1 million because of sequestration cuts, and their Head Start programs are taking the hardest hit. Commissioner Chris Finch told senators that quality early childhood education helps reduce future social problems. Their Head Start program serves 3 to 5-year-olds, but it's in high demand with a current enrollment of 894 territory-wide and a waiting list of almost 800. Their child care subsidy program helps low-income families, and nearly 500 children are served monthly. Several hundred are on a waiting list for that program. Both federally funded programs are being hit with a 5% sequester cut. Finch said budget cuts locally have been trending downward, and fiscal year 2014's numbers will be a little more than $9 million less than 2009's.
Overall, in virtually every area of the department, we are working short-staffed. Direct service management levels. It impacts certainly not having the staff, not being able to replace vehicles, which is a growing consideration in some cases. The supply budgets for some of the programs.
Finch also outlined the status and challenges for their child welfare and juvenile justice systems, their intake and emergency services, children and family services program, and residential services, both locally and off-island, all suffering because of budget cuts. Officials said the residential expenses is their biggest non-personnel expense at $15 million annually. During his testimony, Commissioner Finch told senators in many cases they know the fixes to many of the department's challenges, they just don't have the resources. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Human Services officials also talked about many of their upcoming initiatives for each program. One is a free health fair for children between 0 to 5 years. St. Croix is April 19th and St. Thomas's will be held on May 3rd. A 22-year-old St. Thomas man is behind bars after shooting after officers. St. Thomas police arrested Kemoy Thompson Wednesday and charged him with first-degree assault. Police say they tried to stop the vehicle for dark tint, but Thompson fled the scene. He led them on a vehicle chase and later a foot chase when he abandoned the vehicle. During the chase, officers say Thompson fired on them. He was eventually apprehended and arrested. No one was injured during the incident. Crimestoppers is asking you to continue to help law enforcement control crime. Even the smallest bit of information may be just what law enforcement needs to solve these cases. Over on St. Croix, Acting Police Chief James Paris thanked the community for information they gave on the whereabouts of Shaniqua Rivera, and to her family and friends who persuaded her to turn herself in. Shaniqua is wanted on assault first-degree charges for an April 4th shooting. According to police, Rivera was positively identified as the person who shot a 20-year-old man in the Mutual Homes apartment complex. Over on St. John, officials issue a stern warning. Dog fighting is cruel, inhumane, and a felony offense in the territory. Please help law enforcement to put a stop to this by providing the times and locations of the fights and the names of the people involved in this animal cruelty. The minimum reward for an arrest is $357. Over in St. Thomas, police say on Sunday, March 17th at 4:35 a.m., they received a call from a man reporting an attempted robbery in the area of Smith Bay. Upon arrival, police found the lifeless body of a black male on the side of the Smith Bay roadway, later identified as 49-year-old Dave James. 2 other men who were in a nearby vehicle were treated at the hospital for gunshot-related injuries. They said they were shot at by several unknown individuals. Call 1-800-222-TIPS. Well, as NEWS2 shared with you on Tuesday, Sprint officials were in the territory Monday meeting with Innovative as well as the community to see what services can be provided to the hearing-impaired community. NEWS2's Erica Bivens has details.
On Monday evening, Sprint officials held a meeting with the public to get feedback on what types of relay services the community is currently using.
Other issues you have with relay or frustrations or things you need to improve on any relay here in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Sprint provides relay services to 30 states as well as the territory, and they're now in meetings with Innovative to see how they can form a partnership to bring better service to the hearing impaired.
In our meetings with Innovative, they've been extremely excited about the opportunities and utilizing Sprint and the expertise we have with our relay services for the deaf and hard of hearing.
One of the relay services offers customers the option of using a captioned telephone, which is designed specifically for people with hearing loss. You can still hear what the other caller says and also read captions of what they said in case there is anything you miss, just like captions for TV. A demonstration was available Monday for the public to test out the service, but Sprint officials say there's products for everyone.
A lot of people have difficulties sometimes hearing on the phone, whether it's late deafened individuals that are maybe becoming older and having a hard time hearing, or individuals that are born deaf. And there is a product for everyone. And we're hoping that we can share those products with Innovative, and what we have here will allow all those people to have a product that meets their needs.
For NEWS2, I'm Erica Bivens.
Now, for more information on the captioned telephone, you can visit Captel, that's CAPTEL.com, or you can call 1-800-233-9130. On Saturday, Governor John DeYoung confirmed that the government of the Virgin Islands and the owners of the Hovensa Refinery on St. Croix have reached an agreement that will govern a 14-month sale process of the refinery's assets on the island's south shore. In a release from Government House, the governor said he was pleased that negotiations, which began back in August 2012, have concluded, with the owners of Hovensa agreeing to submit to a sales process. It should help to provide jobs on St. Croix and economic stimulus to an entire community. The agreement assures the continued sale of fuel from the Hovensa truck rack, even as the sale process goes forward.
There are a couple of things I'm confident of going into this sales process. One, that the market is changing enough and the dynamics of the market are changing that the Hovensa facility could be attractive to a particular type of purchaser long term, particularly with the amount of activity that's seen that will be coming out of the Gulf Coast region, particularly once Cushing, Oklahoma opens up. There'll be a tremendous amount of oil that's exported out of Cushing that has to get to the East Coast that can't necessarily get there by rail or get there by pipeline. So this is one way it can get there, and the facility is still considered. It requires a tremendous investment, but it's still considered a facility that has some value long term. So I think given that dynamic, there are purchasers out there. Hovensa's willingness to sell as a willing seller indicates to the market that at least there is also a willing seller, so that we will have some buyers that will be there that will show some interest. The important part here will be the approval of the legislature, getting the legislature comfortable that this is the right route to go on. That what we need to look at is getting to that next owner that we can then, in fact, negotiate a concession agreement going forward.
Well, it isn't the sweeping gun control legislation President Obama wanted, but there is a compromise in the Senate to expand background checks. The big breakthrough came as Sandy Hook families and others who've lost loved ones to gun violence spent another day in Capitol Hill pressing lawmakers for action. Danielle Nottingham has the story.
Good morning.
Pennsylvania Republican Pat Toomey and West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin stood together to announce a deal that will expand background checks to more gun buyers.
Truly, the events at Newtown changed us all. It changed our country, our communities, our towns.
Their bipartisan proposal requires background checks for firearms purchased at gun shows and over the internet. Both senators have a top rating from the National Rifle Association, and their compromise could appeal to other conservative lawmakers.
I don't consider criminal background checks to be gun control. I think it's just common sense.
Family members of gun violence victims spent a second day walking the halls of Congress, pressing senators to pass new gun laws. Joining some of the Sandy Hook families, Emily Nottingham. Her son Gabe Zimmerman was working for Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords when he was shot and killed. Nottingham wants to see a vote on the Senate floor.
Think about protection of our children and our grandchildren as much as the convenience of gun owners.
Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid plans to start debate on gun legislation Thursday. Some GOP senators have been threatening to filibuster.
I've declared my intention to resist an immediate vote on any new restrictions that would serve primarily to limit the freedoms of law-abiding citizens.
The NRA also released a statement critical of the background check compromise, saying it will not prevent the next shooting. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And keeping our eye on the economy, Postal Service said today it will delay its plan to cut mail delivery to 5 days, saying restrictive language in Congress. Temporary government funding resolution prohibits the new schedule. The U.S. Federal Reserve policymakers are divided over when to end their economic stimulus program. Minutes from the Fed's last meeting show some members want to end the Fed's bond buying program relatively soon, saying the costs of the program outweigh the benefits. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. Everything up. The Dow 128, NASDAQ 59, S&P 19. Coming up on News 2, the VIPD says they will be lenient with the parking of vehicles in the downtown and surrounding areas of St. Thomas now that the parking lot is closed. However, all parking restrictions will be enforced. Details coming up next. Well, the women came out in large numbers with the theme, Every Woman Counts. The second International Women's Day Luncheon and Silent Auction was held at Sugar Bay on Sunday. YWCA honored 4 women, Dr. Laverne Raxter for Outstanding Woman of Education, Ms. Vivian St-Just, Outstanding Woman for Community Activism, and Delva Turnbull for Outstanding Woman Entrepreneurship, and myself, Sandra Gomansing, for Outstanding Woman of Media. Certificates were presented from the VI Delegate to Congress, Donna Christensen, First Lady Cecile DeYoung, who served as honorary hostess for the luncheon, and Second Lady Ms. Cheryl Francis, as well as YWCA representatives. The event also featured the launch of YWCA USVI's In Her Shoes initiative, a Women in Business Micro-Enterprise Expo and Exquisite Shoes Parade, door prizes, music, and entertainment.
It's been shown that if we take the time to invest in a young girl, that investment multiplies by 10. So really what that means is that when you take a young girl and invest in her future and her education, she then affects 10 people around her. That's more so than males. So it really behooves us to really invest in our females. And I think that that's what these women are doing as well. Because for them to decide to do that here in our community and to really nurture our community means a lot.
And it was an honor indeed. CFVI has an event coming up that focuses on strengthening families through community cafes presented by National Alliance of Children's Trust and Prevention Funds. It will be held on St. Croix, April 15th and 16th at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Cardiac Center, Juan Louis Hospital. And then on St. Thomas, April 17th and 18th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Sugar Estate Head Start.
We are targeting social workers, educators, faith-based leaders, counselors, nurses, anyone who works with families. And we are also encouraging parents to attend because at the Community Foundation, we do a lot of work with children and families. And we recognize that the most important partner in that work are parents. So people don't need to feel that they have any kind of prerequisite to come to this training the trainer, just an interest, enthusiasm, and wanting to spend 2 days with their colleagues learning from national experts. And at the completion of the 2 days, people will receive certificates so that they will be able then to do these train the trainers do the sessions for parents and for their colleagues going forward.
Well, with Carnival right around the corner, Fort Christian parking lot will be closed. Just a reminder, from April 10th to May 5th to accommodate Carnival's Village. VI police say in light of this, they will be lenient when it comes to parking in the downtown and surrounding areas. They will not, however, tolerate any violations of general parking restrictions. Those violations will be strictly enforced with a ticket and toll. Residents can go to www.vipd.gov.vi for a complete listing of the parking allowances and restrictions, but here are a few. Timed parking areas will not be enforced while Fort Christian parking lot is closed. Parking will be allowed along the southern side of Noragata from the former Wet Willie's to the professional building. Parking will be allowed on the waterfront apron. Parking will be allowed in the usual parking areas. There should be no parking, standing, or stopping in disabled parking spots, and no blocking of sidewalk access ramps, fire hydrants, crosswalks, other vehicles, driveways, entrances, or public roads. Well, in the entertainment news, he released his first album in 2008 called The Six Tapes in the VI, and now local rapper 6 A Million recently released his latest, Me, You, and Her. 26-year-old 6 A Million, aka Jeremy Thomas, is a 2004 graduate of St. Croix Educational Complex. He lives on St. Croix but travels back and forth as opportunities arise.
Right now, I have my Me, You, and Her album that just dropped, and have the Me, You, and Her single that's on iTunes, and it's doing pretty good, and I'm just looking forward to, finishing up this summer strong. I gotta say, my style is basically, I call it kitty cat music. It's like a new genre, or people will more relate to relationship rap, when you're in a relationship, boy meets girl, boy falls for girl, boy breaks girl's heart, everybody can relate to that, so that's basically what it is. And I probably gave out 500 copies when I was home, so everybody should have one. But the single Me, You, and Her is on iTunes, so you could probably download that. Just search 6 A Million, and a picture should come up in the top right-hand corner.
And now you can hear more on his website at www.6amillion.com. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.